Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, Subhash, I'm able to see.
Okay. So do you have any doubts before going further?
Right now, I don't have.
Okay. So in the last session we discussed like how to configure the stage steps and how to configure the process as well. So now we will see, so every step, we know that every step is a flow rule internally. So what are the steps you are creating from the case manager, from the case designer, internally system creates the flow rule for them. So the flow rule, the flow is nothing but it's a graphical representation of some shapes, and we should know what is the meaning of each and every shape, so that if we want to manually configure also, we can configure the flows. This is a climb. Let me open any step. We want to open the corresponding flow rule or a process. Click on the open process button to open the flow rule. So here you can see some shapes are there, and the shapes also will change based on the step type. This is a single step you are getting this way, and if it is a sub case, you are getting a different shape here. That means that based on the configuration changes on the case designer, internally the flow also changing according to its configuration. But if you want to do, if there is no case designer to configure, then we need to manually do directly on the flow rule only. So we need to understand the each and every shape so that we can manually create the flows. So let's create it manually on flow. If you want to create a flow rule in any class, in whichever the class you want to create the flow rule, I click on the class name and go to create, and then the process, the flow rule will be under process category. You need to go to process category and then click on the flow and give some name for that. So I'm giving some name and then create and open. So already class name is there, and then rule set is also there. So create and open. So by default, whenever you create a flow, this is the default. These are the default shapes that will come for any flow rule. Okay, before going there, let's see what are the. This is you can see some toolbars are available on the top, so we need to understand them. First one is draft on. The draft on. We call them as a flag, draft flag. If the draft flag is on, that is the indication that the flow is in draft mode. It's not a completed version. So generally we use the same term. So it is a draft mode. So draft mode means it's not a completed version. So because since it is not a completed version, system will suppress the errors. Even if there are any errors on the flow diagram, system will suppress that. System won't show them because it is a work in progress item. It's not a completed version. So when you disable the flag and you draft off it, just click on the button, it will draft off. You can see actual errors are there here, but it is suppressing. And one more thing you have to keep remember right. So when the flow is in draft mode, those flows will not be executed in the production environment. Those flows will not be executed in production environment. So while moving the code to production, so we need to make sure that each and every flow is draft off enabled, is in draft off. Otherwise, those flow rules will not be executed in production environment. So anyway, because this is first time we created, definitely draft on should be enabled because just now we created the flow rule, we didn't do any configurations. And then this plus symbol will be useful to add the shapes. So before that, let me give some definition for the flow rule. So I think the flow is nothing, the generic term. So even in engineering classes, we need to use the same term, like flow diagrams. Here also same thing. The flow diagram is nothing but a graphical representation of some shapes. Say graphical representation of shapes. Let's see here. I think here we have already. You can see a flow model, a business process in our application. This is standard definition. It uses graphical shapes and connectors to define sequence of events. So I want to execute something. To execute that, I am using a graphical shapes. It uses graphical shapes and connectors to define a sequence of events. Flows are associated with each step. In the stage of case study, we have seen that. You can edit the flows, the process modular array creates a designer. When the flow is open, this is called process modular. So whatever you are doing here, this is called process modular. And this contains some graphical shapes. So I mean, if you remember in engineering days, there also we used to design some graphs. Start shape will be there and end shape will be there. In between you can see some diamond shapes will be there. So you can also flow shapes. So this is what generally we used to have. So each shape represents some meaning. Diamond symbol means decision. So rectangle symbol means taking the input. So we used to have some meaning for the each and every shape while designing some flow. Here also same thing. Each shape, the starting ending shape will be there. In between whatever is happening, that is called sequence of event. So the execution will start from the start shape and it will end at end shape. And in between we'll use different shapes and each shape have a specific purpose. So if you want to add those shapes to the canvas, we call them, this is a canvas, whatever you can see in the white color, this is called a canvas. So or we call it flow canvas. So if you want to add shapes, we have different shapes available. So if you want to add the shape, if you want to add any shapes to the canvas, just click on the link on the shape name, it will be automatically added on the canvas. And then if you want to, I mean there is one more approach for this. You don't need to click on the plus symbol. You can directly right click on the canvas on the white color, and you can see add button is coming. Click on the shape whichever you want. So in this way also you can add shapes to the canvas. And then if you want to open the properties, if you want to configure the shape, you need to open the properties. So if you want to open the properties, you can select the shape and you can click this gear symbol, gear icon. This is also fine, or else this is also fine, or else if you directly right click on the shape and click on open view properties, both are same. Both are same. And this is like one is select mode, one is pan mode. So what is the difference between? So the difference between the pan mode and we first discuss this one, pan mode. So because in a complex scenarios, we may use many number of shapes. Let's assume in at least in Pega 5, Pega 6 versions, people used to have nearly 20 to 25 shapes. So the 20 to 25 shapes may not be accommodated in the small screen. This is a small screen, and if you open it in the laptop, you can see a even smaller screen here in the even small vertical space. The smaller vertical space in the canvas, we cannot accommodate all the things, all the what we call all the 20 or 25 shapes. Let's say it will be like this. So if you observe here, the canvas is moving. So like that, you can add any number of shapes. You can see there is no ending for the canvas. You can add any number of shapes because it's infinite. You can see the canvas is dragging. You can see the hand symbol. Hand symbol is holding the screen and dragging it. Holding it and dragging it. You can see that one. You can see the movement of the flow diagram. If you want to drag the screen, if you want to drag the flow canvas, you can use pan mode. If you have more number of shapes and we want to drag, move and back and forth, you can use pan mode. If you want to do the development, then you can use select mode. The select mode you cannot drag. You can see it is not dragging. So here you can do some development, some configuration changes, something like that. Here also you can do the development. It's not like that. You can do development, but here we can drag and we can do the things. The main purpose of this one is to drag it, to drag the canvas. If the flow diagram is very big, if you are not able to see all the shapes, let's say this is the diagram I can see. That means that I cannot see all the shapes basically. Something is missing on the right hand side. So there are two, we can drag the canvas, or else in the same screen if you want to see, in the bottom you can see some arrow markers. This is called mini map. This is called mini map. This will display entire flow diagram, and whichever the part you want to highlight, just drag that rectangular symbol to that place, so that you can also see that one. If you want to zoom it, you can also zoom like this. You can see only the particular shape will be highlighted. So you can also use this mini map if the flow diagram is very big. So this is called cut, copy, paste. So if you want to copy a shape and paste it, the same shape you can use. If you want to use the same configuration, generally you can copy paste, and this is like cut paste you can also use. This is like delete. And here you can see some symbols are there. This will be useful to actually help you to properly position the shape. Let's say when I'm dragging any shape, so you can see when I'm dragging it, you can see that the system is giving me some indication. The horizontal vertical indications is giving. You can see the dotted lines are coming. That is for helping me to properly position the these shapes. To properly position, you can see I'm getting both rectangular as well as horizontal, vertical and horizontal lines to help me to positioning properly. So if you because of this enablement, you can see that the dotted lines. If you don't keep that, then you can see you won't get anything. You won't get any help. So if you don't want that, you can disable that one. This is like moving the icons in the horizontal or vertical areas. Then it will be useful in the sphere. Different here, alignment will be there: horizontal alignment, vertical alignment. So in the spin thing, you can we have a different concept here, and there if you want to what we call, if you want, so in some scenarios we can club all these shapes into a swim line. So generally in Pega 7 we don't use those concepts, but in Pega 6 version this is given for the backward compatibility. If everything is migrated from older versions to here, you can use this swim line concept to change the orientation, like how this shape orientation. From this is now the horizontal, and now if you want to change it to vertical, you can change this one. So this is like if you want to see the preview of this one, the flow diagram or a harness, you can select any shape, assignment shape. Basically you can see the preview for that, how it going to looks to be. But for now everything will be empty. There is nothing, right? It will be like this. This is like sample data. This is a sample data. This is not actual data, dummy data we can say. Okay, and this is like likelihood. We will see likelihood. That is about toolbar. Now we will see like what are the different shapes we have in the flow canvas and what is the purpose of that one. The first one is the start shape. The start shape indicates this is the starting point for the flow execution. This is the starting point for the flow execution. There should be only one starting point. System won't accept multiple starting points. Its starting point for the execution, there should be only one per flow rule. So there should be, the start shape should be only one per the flow rule. Even if you add more, system will throw an error message. Let's try that. If I give like this, you can see error is coming on the top. This tab contains errors. It's not giving me proper error. You can see here a process can have only one start shape. A process can have only one start shape, but I have even two start shape. That is why system is throwing an error message. So I need to remove this start shape. But there can be many end shapes. You can see at the end, let me remove this. If you want to delete, you can delete this by using the delete button on the keyboard, or else you can also use the delete button here. So you can see end point here. So this is the end shape, and whatever you want to achieve achieve using this flow rule, you need to do in between the start shape and end shape. End shape is that is the last point for the execution of this flow, and the flow may end at any level. At any level means you can add any number of end shapes. So in this level you're going, if you're using decisioning, so in this decision the flow may end, in this decision, in this path the flow may end. So in many ways, in many areas, so the flow is likely to be ended. It's not like only one ending point will be there. That there can be many ending points, but the starting point should be only one. This is the end shape. and then you can see some arrow color marks, and then after between the start and end shape you can use many number of shapes to actually achieve your objective. So you can see some connectors, some arrow mark symbols are there. Those are called connectors. Those are called connectors. So the meaning of the connector will change based on it is coming out. So here it is coming out from the start shape. There is no meaning here. So the meaning will be changing wherever based on the shape from it is coming out. But here it is coming out from the assignment shape. So this connector is called flow action. So like that we will change the meaning of the connector. So first shape we should discuss is assignment shape. The assignment shape, this is called assignment shape. Assignment shape indicates that it requires human intervention. It requires human intervention to move the flow forward. So some user should interact with the system to move the flow forward. Otherwise it won't go, or it won't go. It will be stay there. That means that indirectly says that how the user will interact with the system by displaying some UI. So that directly derives that the assignment shape will be useful to display the UI. So if you want to display the user interface, go for assignment shape. As the name indicates, assignment means somebody should do some work. The human should do some work. Human should interact with the system. So human should interact with the system means human should provide some, the user should provide some input to the system to go further. So if you want to display some UI on the in your application, you can use assignment shape. So this will display the this will actually useful to display the UI on the screen. And where actually we configure the UI actual UI rules. So we configure the actual UI rules in this connector. So if you see the earlier older rules, this will be like this. We configured yesterday flow actions and the assignments. Routing is there, right? So you can see this is the flow action. So whatever is the connector is coming out from the assignment shape is called flow action. So this is called flow action. The flow action rule will be taking care of displaying the UI. You need to mention the flow action rule name. Within the flow action, we will be having a section rule which will be useful for the displaying the UI. So the actual UI configuration will be done here, but on this shape, so who is performing the action, and those things will be configured here. The routing capabilities will be configured here. The assignment shape, so we have seen the routing and the service levels or the specifications, those kind of things are configured. And if you the actual UI configuration will be done on the flow action level. So first shape is assignment shape. It's useful to display the UI and connector coming out from this shape is called flow action. So we are configuring the same thing using the case designer. If you want to manually configure, you can also configure here. Just mention the flow action name here, your rule name, mention the flow action name, whatever you want, and then do it. This is like manually configuring the things. We are doing the same thing using the case designer. And then the next shape is decision shape. So as the name indicates, decision shape will be useful if you want to decide the path. So if you want to decide the path, so we have a number of there will be number of options for the decision. Let's take a simple example. So if the candidate is a male, or if the customer is male, I want to do something. If the customer is female, I want to do something. So you can use something, there are a lot of decision rules. So based on the requirement, we should use the rules here. Let's say I'm just checking is male something. So I'm checking is male or not, the customer is male or not. There are two options for this. There are two results for this because it's a Boolean kind of thing. So there are yes or no properties. Let's assume yes or no will be there. So if it is yes, I want to go in this direction. Result is yes. I want to go in this direction. The result is no. I want to go in this direction. In those scenarios, based on some decision, and you want to choose the direction in which direction you want to go. And again, in this direction, you can use any number of whatever the shapes you want to use. So here I want to display some other screen. Here I also want to display some other screen. Like that, you can configure. You can use any number of shapes again in this direction, but the decision shape will be just useful to actually choose the path or decide the path in which path I need to go. Okay. And then the best practice here is the system will accept any number of outputs basically, but what the recommendation is, you need to limit the number of outputs from the decision shape up to maximum of 5. So but system will accept anything, but the problem is the managing the flow rule will become very difficult. You can see there is a clear overlapping is there on the results. So the diagram won't look good. That is why limit the outputs that is coming out from the assignment from the decision shape to maximum of 5. That is the guidelines, best practice guidelines Pega is giving. And whatever the connector is coming out from the decision shape, this is called result. So we have a result here. So here we are using executing some decisioning rule and to give some result. Based on the output of the decision rule, it will automatically go to that path. So here if the output is yes, it will go this path. If the output is no, it will go this path. This is called a result. So let's take this. Decision shape. So this decision shape will be useful to decide the path during a long time based on the result of decision rule. You can use any decision rule, and each rule will give some result. Based on the result, you can configure the result. So here connector is a result. And then next one is sub-process. So as the name indicate, sub-process. This is a process and this is a sub-process. That means that if you want to call the other process, other flow rule, if you want to call the other flow rule from this flow rule, you can use sub-process. Sub-process will be useful to call the other flow diagrams from this flow rule. So to display all the flow rules. You can see a lot of flow rules are there. So if you want to call customer info from this flow rule, you can use that one. You can see. So if you want to call some existing flow rules from the current flow rule, you can use this sub-process. And the behavior will be, when you use sub-process, the main process will wait its execution until all the sub-process completion. You can see the sub-process also have some shapes. Until the sub-process will reach its ending point, the main process will wait here. You can see it's waiting here. It's wait here. The main process will wait until the sub-process execution. That is called parallel execution. It is called parallel execution. And if you want the sequential execution, you can spin off the flow. You can spin off the flow. If you want to spin off the flow, you can just right click on it. You can see spin off button is coming. Spin off flow. You can select that one so that you can see that the diagram is also, the symbol is also changing. So those are two parallel executions. So If there is no dependency between, so if there is a dependency, let's say this flow diagram is dependent on this flow diagram output or some execution. In that case, you need to go for sequential execution, definitely, because the data is dependent on this. But if there is no dependency, there is no use of, there is no I mean, there is no what we call dependency. There is no meaning in going for sequential execution. You can go for parallel execution here. So it won't, the main process, when you go for spin off, what happens is the main flow will not execute for the with the completion of the sub process. It will execution needs, it will go in one path, so it will go here again. So after this execution it will go here, and what are the steps we have later, those things will be executed in the main flow. It won't wait for the sub process completion. So if you want a parallel execution, enable the spin off button. If you want a sequential execution, no need to do any configurations. By default it will go for a sequential execution. Sub process. Need to enable the spin off. And then next step is utility shape. So as the name indicate utility, generally utility we use this terminology, like in Java also we have utility classes will be there. So the main use of this utility shape here is, if you want to execute some business logic from the flow diagram. So we have business logic written in some rules, we call them as utility activities. And then if you want to execute that utility activities from the flow diagram, you can use this one. So this will call the activity rules from here where the business logic is built. So if you want to do something like that, you can use utility, but most of the times we don't use utility shape. We have number of other ways to call the activities, but Pega is providing that feature. If you for some reason, if you want to create in the flow processing only, somewhere in the flow processing, and if you want to execute some business logic, you can go for this activity rule. If you want to call the activity rule from the flow diagram, you can use utility shape. So these are the basic shapes that generally people will use, and many times will use these shapes, but you can see smart shapes are there. So if you observe the smart shapes are either utilities or processes. You can see sub-process. If you see the color is changing. The smart shapes, if you see, you can see these two, compare these two and these two. See, so this is this column, this color is same. That means that this cascading approval is also a sub process. It's a flow rule basically. Then why we named it as a smart shape? So because Pega identified some some useful actions, and Pega itself created the logic. Here we are saying if you want to build the business logic, you can use the utility shape. So Pega created those kind of things. Pega identified the most commonly used actions or most commonly used processes that are that are generic in nature. Pega created them and they name it as a smart shape. So we just need to, you don't need to build any logic for that. You can directly use them and you can just need to configure them. You just need to configure them. So the smart shapes may be either a activity, either utility or a sub process. Now we will see what are those smart shapes. These are the smart shapes available. The first one is attached content. So many of them are self-explanatory. Smart shape first one is attached content. As the name indicate, if you want to attach a file or attach a URL or attach something to the case as part of the flow, you can use attach content. Double click on it. You can see different options are there. You just need to configure this one. So attach file, attach URL, attach note. Whatever you want to do, we can attach file and you need to configure the things. And if you want to see the actual logic, this is like I am saying business logic, right? You can right click on it, you can see open activity rule. So the activity rule will be there where they build the logic. You can see that one here. The logic is there. And then change stage. So change stage will be useful. Let's say, as I said, if you remember, we can move the we can make the class, we can make the stage as a, we have three configurations for the stage. So one is automatically move to next stage, wait for user action. When you select you wait for user action, I said like we need to jump, we need to programmatically write something to jump from this stage to other stage. So to jump from current stage to other stages, you can use change stage. This change stage option, the stage change configuration will allow you to configure to which stage you want to jump from the current stage. You can see select a stage is there, and you can go for next stage automatically, or else you can go for whichever the stage you want to go jump. Here you can see there are only 3 steps available. 3 stages are available in this case, the climb case. So whichever the stage you want to jump, you can jump like this. Just select the stage name. So this will be useful to jump from one stage to other stage. You can use this one. And create a PDF. So create PDF, as the name indicates, we want to create a PDF file out of the section or display UI, whatever displaying on the UI, and if you want to generate them in the PDF, you can use PDF. PDF will accept the section rule. Generally, the section rule will be useful to design the UI. The section rule will be taken as input, and then the PDF file will be generated and it will be attached to the case. And I create cases, as the name and create cases. This is already one of the shape is using already. Here one of the flow is already using. So you can see when the step type is case, system is using this one internally. So when you select step type as a case, system will use this one. This will be useful to create the cases. So you can see the same configuration will be there. Create a case, create a child case, create multiple child cases. The same configuration will be there. So instead of, if you want to configure from the manually, you need to configure here instead of a case designer. And then persist case is not required as per best practice, but as the name indicate, if you want to save the persist means saving the case. So if you want for some reason, if you want to save the case as part of the process, you can use that, but that is not recommended approach, because many times whenever you submit the flow action, the system will automatically save the case. So no need to no need to call the persist case shape explicitly. System will call every time when you submit the flow action. So there may be very rare scenarios where you need to manually persist the case. System will automatically persist and commit the case data whenever you submit the flow action. But for some reason, if you want to again persist the case in between the flow processing, you can use persist case. You just need to call, no configuration is required for this. You can just call this one. That's it. And then update post to pulse. This post to pulse is a collaboration tool. The pulse is a collaboration tool, basically collaboration tool among the case processors. The case is going to multiple people. So we are routing the assignment to multiple. That means the case is going to multiple people. Multiple actors are involving in the case processing. So let's say a claim is raised by a customer. When I run the case, you can see the pulse is there on the bottom. You can see Pega pulse is there. This is a collaboration tool among the case processors or who is involving in the case processing. Let's say this is a credit card application or claim application. So whoever is processing this, whoever is collecting the information, so he's raised a message like saying this. So captured information, but seems like product is deprecated. Product is what we call, so some products will be stopped production. So product is not in use. Something like that he is giving, share it. So at runtime he can give, at runtime the processor who is doing this action, he is adding the message. Now it will go for some other person later at the later point of time. They can see this message. They can see this message. Instead of sending this messages through emails or something, we can collaborate within the case. We can collaborate among the case process within the case. So let's say it's going for manager. Once it goes for manager, he is also giving the comment. So it's okay. So this is the comment given by manager. It's okay. We will discuss with him to give different product. So like that, they will collaborate among the case. This is part of the case only. The context for this discussion with this case only. Once the class is closed, so we cannot see. This is not applicable to some other case. This is only for this case. And we are runtime. At runtime, we are providing this message, right? So at runtime, you can post the message to the pulse like this. But if you want to post the same message for each and every case, you can use this post to pulse. You can use, if the message is same, then you can use this one. If the message is different, anyway we are giving the provision at runtime, you can post it. Whoever the processor is there, you can post it. But this post to pulse is useful if the same message you want to post to on the pulse, you can use this one. So claim is created, something like this. This means that whenever the claim is created, the same message will be posted. If your requirement says you need to post some common message when something happens, you can use post to pulse shape. Otherwise, at runtime, anyway, they can use this pulse capabilities. And then push notification is not applicable for desktop devices. This is for mobile devices. The push notification is nothing but you can see, sometimes you can see some pop-ups will come on your mobile. So those things we can configure using the push notification in the mobile applications. Send email, as the name indicates, it will send the email to the, it's like real-time email sending, it's not like dummy. So we can configure the sender and we can give the real-time email, system will send an email to the real-time recipients. Update case will be useful to update the case data. So for this also, most of the times we don't use this. So there are a lot of other ways to update the case data. So, but for some reason, if you want to use this as part of the flow diagram, you can use update case. It will accept the data transform, one of the rule to actually do the updation. So those are the all utility shapes, and then you can see processes are there, 2 processes are there. Cascading approval and duplicate search. We already seen some approval process. If you see our case in the product claim, we're getting some approval warranty. Here we're using approval step. So that is like a single approval. If you see, this is using sub process. If you open this, this is out of the box. This is out of the box rule. This is like out of the box rule. We didn't configure this one. So you can see approval type is simple. Because approval type simple means there is only one level of approval is there. So in that case you can go for approval step. But you have your own requirement for the approval process. In that case, if you want to build a complex approval process, at that time you can go for cascading approval. So what is the cascading approval? So let's take a simple example so that you can usually correlate. So let's say IT companies is giving loans for the employees and they are keeping the conditions like this. If the loan amount is less than 1 lakh, you need to get approval from your manager. If the loan amount is between 1 lakh and 2 lakhs, you need to get approval from your manager's manager, and if the loan amount is more than 2 lakhs, you need to get manager approval. It means that you need to get 3 levels of approval. Your manager first, your manager, and then your manager. How can the system knows who is your manager? Obviously from your operator record. And then there may be some more scenarios. I don't want to go by manager. I want to go by authority matrix. So if you go for any government officers, you can see this authority matrix table. So if you want to get signed for this document, go to this person A. If you want to get some approvals for home law or something like this, you can go for person B, contact person B. That is called authority matrix. Who is doing what? So if you want to use, you can also use that one. So cascading approvals will accept 2 things. One is reporting structure. You can get approvals based on the reporting structure. People are joining. Okay, people are here. You can get approval based on the reporting structure, or else you can get the approval based on the authority matrix. So if you want to build, so you can get 1 level approval or all levels approval or custom approval. Here using my custom approval, right? When rules. So when we discuss when rules again, if we just assume to return only true or false. I'll let some condition like amount is so below 1 lakh. This is my condition. I will write the logic for this. Return true or false. If it is true, I want to get 1 level of approval. When I say 1, it is like my manager. If the amount is between 1 and 2, I will give here 2. That means that it will check my manager and then his manager as well. If we give more than 2, let's say, that means I am giving 3 here. That means that my manager's manager approval. So you can configure like this. If you want to go by reporting structure. Or else if you want to go by authority matrix, as I said, authority matrix we will use we need to define the structure. So if the work is this one, so you need to go by this one. Here also, the loan amount is less than 1 lakh, we should define who is the person we should get the approval. Let's say get approval from person A. We are clearly giving the names here. So if the amount is more than between 1 and 2 lakhs, get the approval from so on person. So that is called authority matrix. So most of the times in you can see this one. So in the IT department, you will get like if you want to get any IT device, go to this person, contact this person, or if you have any issue with software, go to this person. It is called authority matrix. So here also you can define the authority matrix, and based on the authority matrix, system will assign the work to them for approval. Here for building the authority matrix, we are using different rules again. All the decision rules. So we can use decision table rule to build the authority matrix. So while discussing about decisioning rules, you will get to know these ones. So in those scenarios, if you want to build a complex structure approval process like that, you can use cascading approval. Then duplicate search cases. This is powerful basically because it saves a lot of time and money for the clients. Let's take a simple example. So the customer, let's say ICICI want to build credit card application using Pega, and let's say they want to restrict the duplication of credit card applications. Let's say there are two scenarios. Customer is applying for a credit card. Let's assume there is no duplication scenarios they are implementing. So in that case, what happens? Customer is applying a credit card, and after 1 day or 2 days, he is again applying for one more credit card. So for each credit card application the ICICI Bank is receiving, they need to spend some time and money because they need to process each and every application they receive. That means that they are spending money as well as time for processing the credit card applications. After processing the credit card applications, at the end of the processing, they are coming to know that these are the duplication processes, duplication applications. So why can't we stop them at the beginning itself? So why do we need to spend time on the duplication application processing? So why can't we let the user know that this is the already some so and so application is already pending, so you can stop applying for that. So that the user will decide, customer will decide whether he can go ahead or not. Even we can stop the user not to go ahead also based on the requirements. So in those scenarios we can actually build this one. If you want to build a duplicate such cases, when do you say duplicate again? When do you say duplicate? So it's not like directly for each scenario, it depends on the scenario requirements. Let's say if you take a credit card scenario, if the customer ID, every customer will be having the ID. If the customer ID is same and the credit card type is same, then I can say it's a duplicate. If the only customer ID is same, I cannot say it's a duplicate application. If the only credit card type is same, I cannot say it's a duplicate application. So to define the scenarios, when do you say something is a duplicate? So if you want to define the duplicate, basically you can go to case, and here you can go to case configurations. You can see somewhere track duplicates option will be there. We need to define the conditions here. If you define the conditions here, and if you use this whenever the shape is encountered, so in the flow diagram system, wherever the condition is becoming true, system will display the duplicate cases. You can see open this is a process. You can analyze this one. They're getting the duplicate cases. They're checking whether it's a duplicate or not. How it will check? Based on these conditions. Here you write the conditions. When do you say something is duplicate? Let's say, simple example I'm saying, you need to compare, it will check the old cases and the new cases. If you want to refer the new case data, you can see use primary keyword when referring the current case data. So let's say I'm using primary.py customer, let's say is equal to the py customer, then I'm giving some weightage. I want to give 40 weightage for this. Okay, add one more condition, like let's say I'm giving 30 here the py primary dot, so this is type, credit card type is equal to the py type. I want to give 30 weightage. If both, I am saying if it is more than 70, I am saying it's a duplicate. So I am giving some weightage for each and every condition, and you can see the sum of the weightage is more than, so you can write any number of conditions like this, and the sum of the weightage is more than 70. In that case, I can I am saying it's a duplicate. So if any one of these is equal, the sum will not become. So if only the customer is same, so the weightage will become 40. So it is not like a duplicate. If the only credit card type is same, it's not a duplicate because the weightage is 30. But here I am saying 70 means when both are same, when both are meeting, then only it will become 70%. So based on the requirement, you have to decide what is the weightage to make something as a duplicate. Then if you define like this, and if you use the shape in the flow diagram, so whenever the shape is encountered, where is that? Yeah. So it will get the duplicate cases, the old cases, and it will compare against the old cases with the current case data, and it will display it. Assignment shape will be useful. to display it. But here by default you can customize this flow as well. By default system will give you display the old case data, as well as you can also decide whether you want to go ahead or you want to stop the process. So but in based on the requirement you can customize this one. That actually saves time while applying for a credit card application itself. Okay, those are the smart shapes. So we'll try to use it's not possible in one scenario we'll use all the shapes, but most of the shapes we will use here in this use case, and we will use those shapes whenever required, and we will go ahead. Already we used this shape decision we will use anyway. Where is that? So here if you see assignment shape we are using, a sub process we are using, and we will use this change stage and create case already we are using. I will show you create PDF as well. I will show you post to pulse. I will show you send email, and we will see these things. So cascading approvals is not required. We already use some simple approval process, and duplicate search also if you want we can use that one. We'll display that one as well. So we can say if the customer ID is same, customer name is same, at least in this scenario we can display some duplicate claims. If you already raised the claim we can stop there itself. We will use these shapes in our scenario. Okay, any doubts so far, Venkat?
Attach content, when could we use it?
To attach as the name indicates, to attach the file. It's not like when do we use. If you want to attach some content to the case, so we can also do it manually. Let's say.
So if you use the attach content smart shape, will it automatically attach from the system, or else the user has to manually attach?
It's not like system. It's for the application. If this for the case. Let's say.
Yeah, from the application, or else user has to manually attach the attachment.
No, it's not like manually. Manually you can do, let's say running the case, and here you can see run is there. So this is runtime. We have seen the runtime posting the pulse, right? In the same way at runtime also you can attach the case. You can see attachment section is there, you can attach it like this. So that is like design time. If you want to attach the same file every time, you can use that one. So if you want at runtime, if you want to attach the case, you can attach it like this. You can attach the file, and whichever the file you want to attach, you can drag and drop, and you can select the files. It will be automatically attached. But if you want to attach the same file every time for each and every application, for each and every case, at that time only you can use attach content. If the same case, if the same file you want to attach for something, you can use this one.
Okay.
Otherwise, not required.
Okay,
otherwise,
so URL also same, right? Notes, whatever it may be. Those all things will be runtime only, right? When you use the attachment.
Yes, this is also runtime. So when you're running the case, you can attach that. You can attach whatever you want. But design time, and if you want to make same attachment, so when you configure here, what happens? The same attachment will be attached for each and every case, because the flow will be same. The flow won't change for each and every case, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to attach the same file, if that is your requirement, you can use this one. Otherwise, you can attach like here only directly.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll see. We'll use this couple of more shapes wherever applicable, and we'll go ahead. We'll see tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Subhash. Have a great day.
Yep, bye. So you can you can drop the call. I think someone joined here.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Ashok.
Hi guys.
Yeah.
I'm ending the meeting now. I will start again.